There is a specific kind of person who, when a motorcycle breaks down on the side of the road, does not call anyone. They pull over, they stand there in the heat or the cold staring at the engine, and something shifts in their face. Not panic, not frustration, something quieter, something that looks almost like relief. That moment is worth examining because the motorcycle isn't really the point. The motorcycle never was. But here is what you need to understand. This is not about the bike. This is about something inside you that you have probably never noticed. Keep watching. When someone learns to work on a machine as complex and unforgiving as a modern motorcycle, something happens to the architecture of their thinking. It doesn't happen in a classroom. It rarely happens from a book. It happens in a driveway or a garage, sitting on a low stool with grease on their forearms and a problem that will not cooperate. That environment does something specific to the brain. It builds a particular kind of confidence that cannot be faked and cannot be borrowed from someone else. Have you ever fixed something that everyone else said was beyond repair? If yes, you already know what I'm about to say. If no, you are about to discover something that will change how you see yourself. Most people go through life outsourcing their problems. Something breaks, they find someone to fix it. Something fails, they find someone to explain it. There is nothing wrong with this, but people who work on motorcycles made a different choice at some point, consciously or not. They decided that the machine was knowable, that if they stayed with it long enough, it would reveal itself. That decision, seemingly about carburetors and timing chains, was actually a decision about the nature of reality itself. This is where the psychology begins. You think this is about saving money? Wrong. Completely wrong. What is really happening inside that person's head is far more interesting. Stay with me. The human brain responds differently to mechanical problem solving than to almost any other cognitive task. When a person diagnoses an engine fault on a motorcycle, they are not simply gathering information. They are constructing a mental model of an invisible system. They are holding multiple variables in working memory simultaneously: sound, smell, vibration, behavior, history, and cross-referencing them against a body of knowledge built through physical experience. Neuroscientists call this embodied cognition. The hands and the brain are working as a single unit. The knowledge is not stored in language. It is stored in muscle, in pattern recognition, in the particular silence that follows when a correctly seated bolt stops turning. That feeling you just had, that small recognition, that is exactly what separates people who fix from people who replace, and psychologists have a name for it. People who have this skill do not always know how to describe it. Ask them how they knew the voltage regulator was failing and they will pause. They might say, "It just felt wrong." They are not being vague. They are reporting accurately. The knowledge lives below the level of words. This creates a personality trait that looks from the outside like stubbornness. People who know how to work on motorcycles tend to trust their own perception over received authority. They have been in situations where the expert was wrong, where the manual did not account for the specific wear pattern on this particular bike, where their own hands told them something that no diagnostic tool confirmed. This is the moment where most people would scroll away. But you are still here, and you are still here because something in you recognizes what comes next. Do not skip this. Over time, this builds a bias toward direct experience. They become skeptical of people who speak with great confidence about things they have never physically touched. This is not arrogance. It is an epistemology forged in the specific frustration of a problem that only surrendered to patient, first-hand attention. There is also something in the relationship between mechanical work and time. Fixing a motorcycle engine cannot be rushed in the way that many modern tasks can be. There are sequences that must be followed. There are torque specifications that exist for physical reasons, not bureaucratic ones. Cut a corner and the problem returns, usually worse. Let me ask you something. Have you ever rushed through something only to have it fail again? That lesson is exactly what the garage teaches, and it is a lesson most people never learn. This teaches a lesson that is increasingly rare in contemporary life, that some things have their own timeline and that timeline is not negotiable. People who internalize this lesson carry it into their relationships, their work, their thinking. They become unusually tolerant of slow processes, unusually suspicious of anything that promises a quick solution. Now consider the emotional dimension. Many people who work on motorcycles learned in the presence of someone else. A parent in a garage on a Saturday afternoon. An uncle who said nothing but handed over a wrench and waited. A neighbor who showed rather than explained. These were not formal lessons. There was rarely a curriculum. What was being transmitted was not just technical knowledge. It was a relationship to difficulty, a way of being with a problem that did not involve walking away from it. Something just shifted inside you. That recognition, that memory of someone handing you a tool without a word. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Stay with me for 2 more minutes. The motorcycle was the medium. The real content was something harder to name. This is why motorcycle knowledge so often becomes identity. When a skill is learned through relationship, it carries emotional weight that a skill learned from a tutorial does not. The wrench means something. The particular make and model of the first bike worked on is remembered with a specificity that is almost biographical, not because of the bike, but because of what was happening in that garage between those two people in that specific period of life when the world was still being figured out. You are probably wondering where all of this is going. I will tell you. It is going directly to something inside you that you have never fully seen. And this is where many people misread those who have this skill. They see the confidence and assume it is about motorcycles. They see the self-sufficiency and assume it is about not wanting help. They see the quiet competence and misread it as indifference. But underneath, something else is often operating. People who learned early that problems yield to patience, that machines respond to careful attention, that mastery is available to anyone willing to stay with difficulty long enough. These people develop something that psychologists call internal locus of control. The belief that outcomes are primarily determined by one's own effort and understanding, not by luck or other people's decisions. This war is still happening. Inside you. Inside me. Inside every person who has ever sat in a garage trying to fix something that matters to them. Who wins? Keep watching. This belief changes everything. It changes how a person approaches a job. It changes how they respond to setbacks. It changes their tolerance for ambiguity and their threshold for asking for help. It is not that they don't need others. It is that they have a deeply encoded faith in their own capacity to figure things out. That faith was not given to them. It was built incrementally in the specific context of a machine that didn't work, and then after sufficient effort did. There is one more layer worth examining. Working on a motorcycle is one of the last remaining contexts in which a person can be completely verifiably right. You have figured it out by now. This was never about a motorcycle. It was always about you. In most areas of modern life, success is ambiguous. Did the meeting go well? Hard to say. Is the project good? Depends on who you ask. But an engine that was not running and now is running, that is not a matter of interpretation. The feedback is absolute. For people who live much of their lives in environments of subjective evaluation and uncertain outcome, the garage represents something almost radical, a place where reality gives a clear answer. This is why mechanical work often functions as psychological regulation. When the rest of life feels uncontrollable, when institutions fail, when relationships are complicated, when the future is opaque, the engine offers a bounded problem with a knowable solution. The question is not whether this is practical. The question is, where in your life are you applying this and where are you not? The person who retreats to the garage on a difficult Sunday is not avoiding their life. They are restoring something, rebuilding in miniature the experience of competence and clarity that the rest of the week may have eroded. What looks like a hobby is actually a coping strategy. What looks like a mechanical skill is actually a psychological one. And what looks like someone who knows about motorcycles is actually someone who learned in the most physical and irreversible way possible that the world gives way to patient attention, because what you choose to fix tells you what you truly believe is worth keeping. And that is a question only you can answer. The question worth sitting with is not whether you know how to fix an engine. The question is, What broken thing in your own life have you been standing in front of, hood up, waiting for someone else to come along and tell you what to do, when the answer was always going to require your own hands?